in order to inform a possible future decision. We are here to listen to what we know to be a range of opinions on this proposal. This room is packed to capacity. There is another room that is equipped with video and sound, but what I would ask is that after you speak, that you please exit the room so that someone else may come in. We need to do a one-for-one replacement so that people who are in the other room who are seeking the opportunity to speak are allowed to come in. We have scheduled 3 hours for this hearing tonight. There will be a second hearing tomorrow at noon. You have an opportunity to come back if you did not get a chance to express your view tonight. And we will also take written testimony. I want to be clear about the goals for this hearing and the circumstances as we head into this forum. Parks Board President Brian Traubert has recused himself from involvement with this matter, and I am the board's point person. The meeting being held this evening and tomorrow, neither of these meetings are official Park District Board meetings. There is not a quorum of the board, and no action will be taken by the board. We are not here to make a decision. It is possible that the board will be asked to consider the conveyance of land at some future point. We are here to listen to the public dialogue on that. That is not what we will do tonight in terms of making a decision. We are at the start of a public process that I expect to be a lengthy one. That will begin with the question of, do we want to see the Obama Presidential Library Center in Chicago? To that, I would think the majority of people here would answer yes. The location of the library center, the design of the library, how it would operate, and what it would do for the city, these are all issues yet to be addressed. Some of these critical questions are not ones that we can address because the decisions will not ultimately be made by us here in Chicago. There are other issues that we can and will influence to ensure that the interests of Chicagoans in the impacted communities and the city at large are protected and enhanced if a Chicago site is chosen. Most importantly, I want to remind all that there are 3 potential sites in Chicago for this Obama Presidential Center. Now that the city of Chicago has ruled out a 4th site. The 3 sites were selected by the Obama Presidential Foundation from among 24 or so sites initially proposed in Chicago. Our goal is to do all that we can to ensure that we in Chicago bring the Obama Presidential Library back to his hometown. We cannot presume what site the Obama Foundation and the President and First Lady will ultimately choose. But we do want to do all that we can to help tilt that decision in favor of Chicago at the end of the day. We are seeking public input. We are here seeking public input on potentially siting the Obama presidential site on either of 2 parcels of land owned by the Chicago Park District. One of the proposed sites is at the perimeter of Washington Park, the other in Jackson Park. The Obama Foundation has clearly stated its preference that the 2 south side sites it favors be land under the city of Chicago control. The public input here today gives us, as the Park District, the convener of this meeting, a perspective on how the proposed sites would be received by their neighbors and by the city at large. Our role as the Chicago Park District is to ensure that parkland is used to the enhancement of the communities it serves. In most cases, that represents green space, but not always. There are multiple precedents in Chicago of cultural institutions that exist on parkland to the great benefit of Chicagoans and the world beyond. Our goal is to ensure that should either, and I repeat, should either the Washington Park or Jackson Park site be selected by the Presidential Foundation, that the interests of the surrounding communities are protected and that the park itself and the city of Chicago are enhanced by the use of that site, if it comes to that. And finally, and most importantly, that the Park District retain possession of the land if at any point in the future the Obama Library would be decommissioned. Now, there will be a brief presentation from Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill's architects to more clearly define the parcels of land proposed for use, and after that we will open the meeting to testimony from interested parties. I reiterate, though, we are here to discuss only 2 of the 3 potential sites that might encompass Park District land, not to promote other sites that you feel should be considered. That ship has sailed. Only 3 potential Chicago sites remain. All others were ruled out by the Obama Foundation. The decision on siting will not be determined by the Chicago Park District or by the City of Chicago. The siting decision rests with the President and the First Lady and the Obama Foundation. I respectfully request, that each speaker confine his or her comments to 2 minutes, unless of course you're asked to clarify a point of concern. I would also ask that groups and organizations represented by multiple members come up to the microphone as a group, but elect 1 member to speak for the 2-minute comment period so that we can hear a range of views. We suggest this as a way to hear many different views. As chair, I reserve the right to solicit this wide range of views, and if groups elect not to adhere to that recommendation, I may steer you along. I also reserve the right to ensure that our discussion here is germane to the issue at hand and no other issues. There are many other issues that I see people are here to discuss, but those issues are not germane to the question of whether the Obama Library would be on either of these 2 parcels of land. So at this point, I'd like to recommend my fellow commissioner, or recognize my fellow commissioner Tim King, who has joined us. And I'd like to open it to the presentation from the University of Chicago. Excuse me, we will ask that you respect each other and respect the process. I'm secure.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, everyone. I'm Derek Douglas, Vice President for Civic Engagement at the University of Chicago. And on behalf of the university and the many community partners we have collaborated with throughout this process, I want to thank the Chicago Park District and the City of Chicago for this opportunity to share important information about the effort to bring the Barack Obama Presidential Center to the south side of Chicago. This presidential center represents a unique and historic opportunity for our city, particularly for the south side, the place the President and First Lady call home. This will be the first truly urban presidential library, which means it will have a greater impact on economic development, culture, and education than any presidential center before it. It will also touch many more people, especially local residents in the community. We want these economic, cultural, and educational benefits for Chicago and for the South Side. Our youth in particular will be inspired by this library, which will pay tribute to a president who lived, worked, and began his political career in the same communities where they live, play, and go to school. Over the past year, we have been working to ensure that the South Side effort is a collaborative one that reflects input from the local community and the city. We have talked with hundreds of individuals and groups in more than 150 meetings, as well as with our local electeds and representatives from the city and the Barack Obama Foundation. The feedback we received from the community has been hugely important in shaping the sites we propose to the foundation. Community members told us the Presidential Center should go in a neighborhood where it can bring the most economic benefit. That led us away from university-owned property in Hyde Park, which is where the bulk of the university land is. We also heard from the community that it was important that current residents not be displaced by the library, but rather that they benefit from the library. While there are vacant lots in Woodlawn and Washington Park, there is not a 20 to 30 acre parcel of contiguous land to house the Presidential Center campus without displacing people. Over the course of the past year, our conversations with the community and the foundation included the discussion of more than a dozen potential locations for the Presidential Center. However, as we have progressed through the process, the foundation has expressed strongest interest in 2 particular sites, one in the Washington Park neighborhood, which includes land owned by the university and the other in Woodlawn. Locating the Obama Presidential Center in either Washington Park or Woodlawn would drive major investments and growth, providing an unprecedented boost to the economy on the South Side. Last year, we commissioned an independent firm to analyze the library's potential economic impact. They found that the library would result in direct investments of about $600 million into the community, draw 800,000 annual visitors to the South Side, create nearly 3,300 local construction jobs, create 1,900 new permanent local jobs through the library, the museum, and the creation of new businesses, help to create at least 40 new stores, restaurants, and a hotel in neighborhoods near the library, have an annual impact of $220 million a year, increase local earnings by $56 million a year, increase tax revenue for the city and Chicago public schools by $3 million a year. In a word, it would be transformative. Along with these economic benefits, the Obama Presidential Center would bring a major new cultural offering to the South Side. It would enhance local cultural organizations and create educational experiences for our young people. The Presidential Center would become a jewel in the Museum Campus South network, which includes the Museum of Science and Industry, the DuSable Museum of African American History, and other South Side cultural institutions. As a new destination for children across the city and for visitors from around the world, the Presidential Center would draw from and enhance traffic to these strong institutions, bringing a much-needed boost in tourism to the area. We've talked to various civic and community organizations, including museums, nonprofits, and other universities, and they have presented a wealth of ideas for potential programmatic collaborations with the Presidential Center. These ideas include providing new programming for local schools in areas such as science, technology, engineering, and math, enhancing the work of local nonprofits, serving youth through free tutoring, nutrition education, and recreation, and exploring ways to offer new opportunities for a range of community residents, such as through urban agriculture, workforce training for youth, and options for ex-offenders. These and other ideas support the priorities of the President and the First Lady in critical areas, including education, health, and economic opportunity. I now would like to ask Phil Enquist from Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill to provide a bit more detail about the two proposed sites.
Good evening. Thank you all for coming tonight, and thank you, Hyde Park Academy, for accommodating us. I'm going to take 5 minutes and show you 9 slides that will show you the sites that are being proposed and why we think they are so important to this Presidential Center, the Southside communities, the park system as a whole, the city of Chicago, and the nation. As Derek noted, we are responding to the Barack Obama Foundation's request that we put forward our best possible sites for the Presidential Center. We want to make it clear to the Foundation to choose Chicago, and specifically the South Side. This slideshow that's up now shows the 2 sites in context with the surrounding neighborhoods and the historic Olmsted parks. It highlights that this will be the first urban presidential library engaging directly with and creating opportunities for the neighboring communities. We know the President and First Lady are deeply interested in health, in education, culture, food, and the restoration of the environment. These sites can directly support the kinds of programs we can imagine being developed at the Presidential Center. Locating the Obama Presidential Center in one of these great historic parks can provide a remarkable opportunity for a remarkable partnership. This slide that you see now shows the center within Jackson Park and